get that.
Yeah, that should all
Take the
be.
banner from the campus.
Hey, Pat, I guess we're going to march to the Capitol.
You're going to march to the Capitol?
I guess so.
You got to find a place to park.
Yeah.
This is your sign?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I got it back to you.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
We're going to need,
I'll get Pat
I
with
don't
that
want to
flag.
reveal the inner strategy.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I got it.
And you're going to say toxic water. I'm going to say clean shale. You're going to say climate change. I'm going to say clean shale. You're going to say we know better. Clean shale, it's a lie.
One more time.
Let's give it a shot. Ready?
The first one again?
Toxic water. Toxic water is the first one. Ready? All right. Clean shale.
Toxic water.
Clean shale. Toxic water.
Not necessarily all, but right now I am.
There we go. I'm going to run in there too then.
Sorry.
Oh, you're cool. You got some moves. There you go, Dylan. Good. Oh, sorry.
I'm really amazed at all of you out there that you're all from so many different places. I want you to just say your names and where you're from. We don't know each other. And start with Dan.
Dan from Occupy Muskegon, yay!
Jessica Belgrade.
Yay!
Curtis Quincy.
Yay!
From the Blair
Yay!
County.
Yay! Yay!
Well, I got my life for the Sweden.
Yay! Woo! Yay, Matt!
Jackie from Berry County.
Hey, Jackie!
Renee from Berry County.
Larry!
Larry, Oakland County.
Larry, yay!
Todd, Macomb County.
Todd, yay!
Tracy, Oakland County.
Tracy, yay!
Daly County.
Oh, Muskegon County.
Pat, yay!
John, Washtenaw County.
John, yay! Beautiful, yay!
Dylan, Muskegon.
Hey! Woo! Luann!
Luann Nellis from
Yay!
Caroline.
Yay!
Woo!
Woo!
Can you believe that we actually have 500?
Yeah, pretty good turnout.
We're getting more and more water.
Real loud.
Ready? Clean shale.
Toxic water.
Clean shale.
Climate change.
Clean shale.
We know better.
Clean shale.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's march.
There you go. Matt's over at the Senate building. He's going to see if he can get us in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hey, Matt. Hi. Your name's Dan.
This is Arnold Meekoff. He's a state
Hi there, how are you?
senator from Ottawa County.
Dan Mills. Nice to see you, Dan. Muskegon. What you got going on?
I'm running a little late for lunch.
Okay, all right.
But thanks for saying
All
hi.
right, good talking.
Good.
Good talking to you. Thank you.
All right, see
Thank
you.
you. So what you doing, Matt?
He's a state senator from Ottawa County. So we're having a little discussion on various things.
Did you mention fracking?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's the right answer. Good. They can say, "Oh, I forgot all about that."
I brought up fracking. I said,
Did you get? You let them know you were with us here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
So I guess the state office building's over there, and they just got out of session.
So what do you want to do?
Probably go over there and just go over there and knock on some doors.
You got to get Pat. Hey, Pat! Whoa, Pat Hausman! Hey, Pat! Whoa! He wants to walk through the.
You can't bring a big stick on a flag in there. Or a flag.
Right.
Stick in there.
Not only that, we got to get all our
I didn't
signs.
even notice what the stars on that flag are. All the corporations.
Right. We got to get our signs back.
Are you guys with the group or something? Occupy Muskegon. Do you have any idea how long he's going to be?
Well, I know. Look real quick. I know he's got a. Yeah, he's not going to have time. But is there something I can talk to you guys about, or?
We came over here for a little bit of a protest on the oil and gas leases that the state was auctioning off today because we think they're going to be used for horizontal fracking, and we're opposed to that. And that's we just want to make our views known to him and see what his position on it is, and just that sort of thing. General conversations, political conversation, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well,
But obviously we didn't have an appointment. So
Roger, you got a card?
right. Yeah, I can definitely let him know. Are you guys from Muskegon?
Yeah,
or
we're from this district. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, great. Glad you guys came down today. And,
Yeah, we walked in here and I saw people back there, and I thought, I bet he's there with them.
Let him have it.
But, yeah, I can definitely. Do you have any
Why don't you leave him a card, Roger?
paper or something I can leave with him?
Roger's got a card.
He's going to leave a card.
Sure. Okay. All right. I will definitely let him know.
Okay,
Cool,
all right,
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. So, do we know what we're doing? No, have you? Oh, all right, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just let it roll. It's rolling now. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. No, it's still recording.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Look at my ID. Oh, I'll hold on to that till you get this. Hello.
Let's see if you're really from Muskegon.
Yeah.
Been in the Irish Fest? Once or twice. Who was playing? Oh, you went to the Irish Fest then.
Is anyone playing there?
Oh, yeah. Everybody else set?
Yeah, Roger's going to stay here. I left my wallet at home. And I don't suppose I can get in without an ID.
I can run you on the computer.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. Maybe I can go. Yeah, thanks.
I don't know. That might be a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you want to bring that up for? Okay.
Right here. Right here.
Yeah.
Find all that spot.
What's your first name? Daniel. Last name? It's confusing.
Last name?
Hyphenated last name now. It's Martin Mills.
796. Yeah. I said Lamonte, not Lamontaine.
Oh, so they gave you a steer.
This is all Republicans, isn't it? Let me find out.
Yeah, Republic. Okay. Trick or treat.
Talking about your twin brother? Yeah, no, not the twin brother, but we're old college friends. How are you guys?
We're from Muskegon, and we were here today to protest the leasing of state oil and gas leases.
Okay.
And we just wanted to see if Colleen was around when we talked.
She's actually in a meeting right now, out of the office. But do you guys want to sit down? I can just take some notes and make sure that they get to her.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, all the so in the Anderson House office building, all of the district offices are facing the Capitol, so that every rep can get a view when folks come to visit. Hold on just one second. I just have to check in with our intern.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is. I could work out of an office like this. It wouldn't bother me.
What are they doing up there?
Probably the roof.
Oh, is that a ladder? That's a ladder, isn't it?
Alrighty.
Yeah, I see it.
Feel free to have a seat, everyone.
Cool, really
Let
cool.
me see if I can transfer you as well.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
So,
We're with Occupy Muskegon.
okay.
And we've been tuned into this fracking issue for quite a while. And we see that the state's gone ahead and leasing the oil and gas rights to auctioning the lease rights off. And I don't see why there couldn't be some provision there in there saying, okay, we're going to auction off the lease rights to this, but not for horizontal fracking.
Vertical's been done for decades.
Yeah, we don't have any problem with that. But the state can put all sorts of hooks on what it does, and they can make that an exclusion, saying we're going to lease it to you, but you're not going to be able to use it for horizontal fracking. We don't see anything in there that prohibits that. So I think that something could easily be put in there. I don't know if it would even rise to the level of legislation. It might not. But there's policies and procedures that the DNR or DEQ does all the time. And they don't have to get legislative approval.
So there are currently, not necessarily dealing with the auctioning off of lands, I think, but there are currently proposals. One is in a legislative form. It's a House Democratic Caucus bill package.
Right.
And then there's another one through DEQ, through administrative rules.
Right.
They're not necessarily dealing. I don't know if they deal with the auctioning off of lands, but they deal mostly with ensuring that for instance, that the materials used beyond water are disclosed. That there has to be responsible disposal of the liquids used in hydraulic fracturing, and that there are certain added local control elements to it too. Have you guys? You're nodding, so I'm guessing you've.
Yeah,
heard
we're
before.
familiar with that.
Gotcha.
Roger and I attended something just recently here,
Gotcha.
but we've been kind of in tune to that, and that's definitely an improvement. Yeah. That, you know what I'm talking about if I talk about the Halliburton loophole, right? And so these things, disclosing the chemicals and stuff like that, is designed to kind of like remedy that Halliburton loophole where they were able to inject anything at all and nobody knew what they were putting down there. And so they have these safety data sheets, I guess, that they submit. But according to like the emergency manager, the management coordinator, this is the guy that used to be civil defense, now it's emergency preparedness. The undersheriff, subsheriff, something like that, or the sheriff maybe, in Oceana County, was reporting that he was so frustrated. He had absolutely no idea what was going on with the well there in Riley well in up by Silver Lake. And they were getting reports all over the place, and they're sending out their responders and stuff to these awful smells, chemical smells, and he had no idea what was going on. And he says, like, since this Bhopal, if I'm pronouncing that right, in India, that catastrophe there where all those people were wiped out with Dow Chemical, that we have laws in this country now where he was saying this emergency management, I don't want to say emergency manager because everybody thinks now emergency manager like in Detroit, but he's responsible for responding to real emergencies. And so he says anytime there's chemicals that are hazardous going onto a site, he's notified before they even get there because they have to know when they're on the road and stuff like that. And here he says this was months after they had two big events there, blowouts. One was in January, another one was in May. He still didn't know what those chemicals were that spilled out onto the farmer's field and stuff like that. And so I know that what you're saying is now that there's going to be rules, the DEQ. Yeah. But see, here again, you're talking about the DEQ, which is totally neutered because they get their pay. Their money comes from the oil industry. And so I'm glad that they have rules, but I don't know if it's going to mean anything, if they're going to be enforced.
Do you guys have any information to leave behind, information that you'd like to provide or anything like that?
Not really.
Gotcha.
The website, you can go to letsbanfracking.org.
Or Occupy Muskegon, because we get around. We're going to be visiting a political event tonight, and we record responses from the political candidates, and we make those public, because we don't think that the news organizations are doing a very good job of that.
Gotcha. What's happening tonight?
We put real news online.
Oh, real news online.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right, and so we're not just a marketing organization or a propaganda organization. We don't try to edit, and we don't have an agenda. We're trying to select politicians. We try to get as much real news as we can. We put that online, and if you guys are sitting in a favorable position, we like to broadcast that. Yeah.
What we did in 2012 was we interviewed all the candidates running for any office, state office, county office in Muskegon County. Most of them took us up on it. But we only had one state rep candidate that did. He didn't win. So it's like, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't, Colleen didn't?
I mean, I can't necessarily speak for that one because I wasn't there until we're in legislative office. We don't do campaigning on state.
Right, of course. But just to get an idea of what we're doing, we're following events closely, and what we're doing is we're documenting the positions that different politicians take, and we're making that as public as we possibly can. And we've been to every one of the township board meetings in the whole county, and we get around, man. Yeah, so now we're here.
Just want to let her know that, we're here, we're from the district, and we want to see some things, something done about not being there. There's the next auction is this October. There's plenty of time to go ahead and get something in place beforehand to let these companies know that, yeah, you're welcome to bid on this, you're welcome to do it for oil, but you're not going to horizontally frack. I don't see what's so hard about any of that.
Could I get your names and where you guys are from? Are you guys from the county or just the district? I wasn't sure.
Well, I just moved recently from the district.
Gotcha.
Matt Crehan. Crehan.
And are you from living in Muskegon now, or
Right now I live in Kent County.
He just moved, just moved.
Gotcha.
I'm Roger Nye, that's N-Y-E, and I'm in Norton Shores.
Gotcha. All right.
My name is Dylan Hock, D-Y-L-A-N, H-O-C-K. I'm from Muskegon, living in the city of Muskegon.
Names, go ahead. Yeah, Dan Mills, M-I-L-L-S.
Okay.
Yeah, and I live in North Muskegon.
All right.
And I'm Pat Hausman, City of Muskegon.
All right. I will let Colleen know that you stopped by. And apologies she wasn't here. She had a prior engagement meeting with someone else.
We would have been surprised any other way, actually.
It's tough on these session days, especially because usually we have to block. I mean, schedules are usually set in stone like a week in advance, just because of how busy they are. But feel free to take her and my business card if you guys want to talk with her further. Feel free to. And aside from that. Let us know when if there's anything we can do, and please keep us informed. And thanks again for stopping by.
We didn't expect to find her here, and if we did, we figured she might be busy anyway. But we're here. We're going to go ahead and stop and see if we get good luck or not. So.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for speaking to us.
Of course.
Thank you.
She's just eating the public.
It smells like a pool in here.
It does.
Yeah.
It does have that.
Oh, man.
What?
I have an idea.
Well, I was going to put all of our stickers on you. So you're overqualified. They wouldn't know who you are or who we are. Which one are you? Just like in school.
Should be right with you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Hello?
Hi, Marsha. Thanks for seeing us.
Had my coat on, I was ready to go out the door.
Well,
That'd
there's the visitation for the kid that was shot in the Heights.
Yeah.
And so I wanted you to do that. So that's why I'm trying to get out of here. But
Michelle's met with a couple of people I know. I don't know who they are, but as a therapist, she deals with people who are related somehow. And again, she keeps me totally in the clouds as to who she's talking to.
Yeah,
But
right.
God, what a heart-wrenching thing.
Yeah,
that kid
it
was
really
well
was.
loved, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Was that the funeral you were at?
No.
The funeral's
Okay.
the next day, I think. Which I can't go to the funeral.
Okay.
but-
No, I was at my step-grandmother's
So I
funeral.
thought-
okay.
So what brings you here? Any
You were in the
particular
neighborhood.
issues?
We
Okay.
decided, we came over here today to protest the leasing of the oil and gas rights. And
Okay.
there's something that could be done very easily at the next auction in October, and say to the oil and gas companies, fine, we're still going to go ahead and have the auction, and you can get the lease rights to this, et cetera,
It's for
et cetera.
fracking you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fracking,
Yeah.
but the catch is you can't horizontally frack on those lands. In other words, we'll still lease it to you if you just go ahead and drill straight down like you have for decades. We don't have a problem with that.
Right, neither do I, yeah.
But you can't go ahead and horizontally frack.
Right.
That's all we'd like to have somebody look into and go ahead and see if, I don't think he would take any legislation. It might just be a policy change of the DEQ, the DNR, or whoever, to handle that.
All right, so what you're saying is that you want the lease and gas rates that have already been leased to only apply to vertical.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it with what's already been leased, but it could. They got it at auction today. They figure, okay, they can probably use it for whatever they want to use it for. But by October, definitely something could be done.
That's the whole thing, Marcia. You understand.
Well, I mean, you know that I've introduced legislation
Right.
that limits fracking.
Right.
And of course, none of our bills went anywhere.
Right,
They're all
right.
stuck
Thank you
in.
for doing that, though.
Yeah.
But
well,
yeah, right.
So I don't, and you need to know, I don't support the ban.
Right.
And neither do many of the environmental groups, like Michigan Environmental Council and some of the others. I know there's some that do. I think that's going too far, and
Yep.
but I definitely think we need stronger. And there was something on NPR this morning about now what was it that they had to, and this was one of our bills. And this was a policy change, that they had to disclose what they put in the, what chemicals they were using.
Okay.
And that had to be public record, I believe.
Okay.
And they didn't talk about any exclusion for, what do you call it, proprietary
Sure, okay,
secrets or whatever.
Halliburton
Is
loophole.
that, or am I being careful?
Yeah,
No,
it's-
please. I don't like that.
Well, I don't think anybody does, but we're not trying to hurt you,
Okay.
We just want to, put the
We
truth
don't
out.
ask questions that put anybody on the spot.
No, we don't intend to do that at all.
It's kind of like we just.
But anyway, we understand what you're talking about with the Halliburton loophole, is what a lot of people call it,
Oh,
where there's
yeah,
non-disclosure. But here's the doggone thing, we asked the people at DEQ, they were minimizing the impact of that thing, saying that, we get these safety data sheets in their file or whatever. But the thing is, nobody verifies that. And so it's like in a classroom that I'm teaching or something. I might say, okay, kids, do you understand this? They go, we understand it, but I've never checked to see. And so you know that doesn't really mean anything.
Well, I
And so-
think DEQ could do more, frankly.
Yeah, I think everybody does, but they're actually being paid by the oil industry, of course. That's how they're able to do what they do now. They weren't able to before. They even came out and said, and so we asked DEQ, how is it that you're able to regulate the industry now when you weren't able to do it 10 years ago? And they say, well, now, they pay us, for the services that we render. Yeah,
Oh.
and so
But
that
that
means
happens in agriculture and
it's happening
everything
more and
else.
more
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
the taxes don't go down.
And it's sort of set up that way so that the cost of regulating an industry is borne by the fees that are charged.
That's-
that's different from being bought, I think.
Well,
in
not
my
really,
view.
because the person who's paying the fiddler calls the tune. And the thing is, too, that our taxes haven't been reduced. The services haven't
So
improved.
we pay a fee for, going to court on a speeding ticket?
Well, they raise
Sure.
all these fees on us.
Yeah.
Well,
but
it
they
makes
don't lower the
sense.
taxes.
No, they increase
Yeah.
the taxes,
So
too.
See, I'm dealing with that right now. You've heard of the Burgess Norton.
Oh, of course, yeah.
There.
Oh, are you one of the residents
She
there?
is.
I'm the one that started.
Are you the
it.
one that
Right.
called me about it?
Certainly.
Yeah, okay.
Pat Houseman.
Update on me on that, because I haven't heard about that for a while. Nobody's contacted our office in quite a while. I mean, we did talk to the DEQ people about that.
Yeah, it's just been a plain old cover-up on the whole thing. But as far as giving us any kind of satisfaction on our property taxes, nothing. I filed a civil suit against them. My own personal civil suit, because I had my home for sale and I can't sell it.
It's a beautiful home too. That's a nice looking place.
You know, and I've got a letter right from Dan Rogers that says my house is sitting right on the plume. You know, so, but yet they don't owe us any kind of compensation. I mean, they never did any health studies or anything on anybody. And this has been going on for 35 years that they were letting this happen. And they don't feel like they're liable to anything, to anybody.
The last time I contacted DEQ on that issue, we talked to somebody, whoever was working with
Heather
Burgess.
Hopkins.
Heather, yes, Heather. And what she said is the company is working with us. Now, that was a while
They're
ago.
working for cleanup. They cleaned up their site, and all they're doing is putting wells in down the streets off of properties. They've never tested anybody's property. Nobody. Everything is off-site. And, you know, they're injecting whatever you call it.
Biodegradable.
Stuff into the ground to try to dilute this all down. It's sitting down. I know they claim
You
it's
still
between...
can't use the water in your wells.
We can't even get wells. I mean, they've known, I've got a document that they put a well restriction because of that in 2005. Heather said they knew about it in 2006. I bought my house in 2007. Where was my disclosure?
Well, and you put a lot of energy and money into that house too, didn't you?
You know, so that's where my anger is coming from.
Right, I know.
You really improved that
And
place.
I get blown off by everybody. There isn't anybody coming to our defense on this whole issue.
And yet you go ahead and have a statewide ballot proposal to protect wolves. I mean, it's like, come on.
Here he goes.
Something's wrong with priorities when you're not worried about people.
To the top.
Well, I care
But
about
see, the
wolves,
same
but-
thing is going to happen with this whole fracking issue. You know, they're going to start destroying people's property, and then they're going to sit here and say, well, it was
I've
always
talked
there.
to people that live in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
where
yeah,
I went
yeah.
to school.
You know?
Good for you,
In fact, I think
Marcia.
there was
Good
a
for you.
teacher who was at one of the teacher rallies by last September, and they said, and they were from University Park, where I went to school in Pennsylvania, and they said you wouldn't recognize what they've done to the community.
It
to
happens.
the
Everybody's got to learn the
land.
hard way,
Yeah,
it seems
I
like.
know. It's
Yeah.
like
That's what we're trying to prevent.
yeah, we have more protective, and I know that we do have more protective laws in place than they did in Florida. I mean, in both Pennsylvania and Ohio, and we have a better geography. You know, in terms of the more distinct layers. I think is what James Clef, because I've talked with him a lot about it. More distinct layers between, you know, the different. Whatever it is, kinds of rock, I guess.
Sure.
That is more stable, so we wouldn't have the same, you know, earthquake problem that Ohio has.
But you know how
still,
unregulated
I mean, it's
they
the
are.
industry is just pushing, and they just aren't even mentioning. They're not talking about what's the gas methane release, which is apparently. I mean, that we weren't even talking about that in the beginning. Now that's like more dangerous than some of the other things, and of course the water withdrawal. I mean, that's just in my book. That's
Well, the whole thing, the unwritten, no regulation.
not worth.
It's not worth
getting
the
low
risk.
cost for gas. Yeah.
And you're not going to get low costs out of it because it's going to go right to the oil company's pockets for profits. The first meeting I went to on this, one of the gentlemen from the DNR said, look, here's the deal behind fracking. It costs them as much to do 2 horizontal fracking wells as it does to do about 24 verticals. That's why they want to do it, because it's cheaper.
Of course.
Well, it's like, it's cheaper, but it's like at what cost? It's too much of a risk. So I don't think it should be too much of a problem putting a little clause in that oil and gas lease saying, okay, there's an exception here, no horizontal fracking.
Well, that's the way people are, because the thing is so unregulated. Now, up in Oceana County, the sheriff of that county there, the head of the emergency preparedness in that county, was giving a big talk at one of those DEQ rallies. And he was just talking about how frustrated he was up in Silver Lake at not knowing anything about what was going on. They were trucking in these hazardous chemicals. They had a couple of big blowouts, and they couldn't get any information. There was no contact people at the wells. And this is all the way the thing's been designed, I guess, because of the money in the oil industry, that they just are above regulation. And so everybody wants it to stop. That's why they're saying ban fracking, because they don't have any control over it, what's going on. They don't have any information about what's going on. They don't have any control.
Could I just, I don't know
Yeah, sure.
all of your names, so.
Dylan Hock from Muskegon.
Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N-H-O-C-K? Muskegon.
I'm Roger Nye from Norton Shores.
Okay. N-Y-E?
That's right.
You know my name, don't you?
Yeah. And you're from Muskegon? Okay.
Infamous.
Matt Crehan,
That's what I thought, yeah.
formerly of Muskegon, now of Grand Rapids.
Oh.
He's a rambling guy.
C-R-E?
C-R-E-H-A-N.
H-A-N.
And Pat Houseman.
That's right. Excuse me, but
It was a pretty good
of
crowd.
the age where name memory is not real good.
I know. Not too many nice things have been
And you're-
said about me.
And you're Muskegon
City of Muskegon.
City, okay.
Is there something the citizens can be doing to help back legislation when it's proposed and things like that? You know, like I think part of the reason people are pushing for the ban is because when you think of like the Kalamazoo river spill, they estimate the cost of repair and cleanup there to be over $1 billion. The company was fined $3.2 million.
Were they
It's a
fined?
huge discrepancy.
Well,
And is there
And
anything
now
that,
they want to put a pipeline under the Mackinac.
Right,
Yeah,
well, use that
yeah.
old one.
but is there anything that we can do to help strengthen citizen voices and you know, if in such cases, if there is an accident, is there a way we can enforce stricter fines? Because that's pocket change to these companies, you know, and it's a slap
That's
on the
the same
wrist.
thing.
Meanwhile,
Just do it.
Kalamazoo is suffering $1 billion in loss. People are getting sick, and these are things we don't want to see from an accident, and that's why
Right.
people push for a ban. Because once it spills, we get very little from the companies.
Yeah.
The state is tied with finances.
Well, I mean, I know a case can be made for banning. You know, I know that. But when you're in elected office and they show us the figures, you know, if so many jobs would be lost, et cetera, and we're saying we want to, create jobs, it puts us in a
Understood, yeah.
difficult. But I totally get that. You know, that it's totally defensible to support banning it. So
What
that's
about
just
putting something in there on the statute of limitations? Ban that completely so that
statute
whether...
of limitations on what?
She's suffering from that right now, and her neighbors are
Yeah.
too. They
See,
didn't-
our 3-year statute of limitations up in December because of the way they did it.
The next or the past December?
This next December.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just ignore
But-
like 15 years instead of the 6.
You know, just like the Sappy thing, you know, blowing those stacks up. People aren't going to know they're damaged and probably until 10, 15 years down the road.
That could be extended.
You know, and, you know, some of these laws start at discovery and
All right,
things
so
like that.
what you're wanting is the end of the statute of limitations on which law?
Well, anything that's got to do with
The environment. Because
environment,
you don't know when
pollution.
it could happen. Something could have happened 5 years ago, and I just discovered it, and then I only have 1 year to sue because it
Especially when
actually
there's
happened 5 years ago.
Cover up,
It should
yeah.
be something to where I'd say at least 15 years. And you take a look at a lot of things that we didn't know about a long time ago. All of a sudden, we realize what asbestos does now. All these guys down
The
there.
black lung.
Right.
Yeah, my ex-husband was involved in protecting the workers.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marcia. I
Lake
have a
County,
question.
You
I have
know,
a-
and that was years later.
Yep, exactly. So
Yeah.
there should be something like, we know when it happened, we can isolate that, but it's like, when does it hurt me? If it never hurts me, I'm not going to go sue you. I can't go ahead and get a divorce if I've never been married. So I can't go ahead and sue you if I've never been damaged, but the damages might not accrue to me until many, many years later, and that's when I have a case.
Yeah, like Commissioner Turnquist.
Yeah, I don't
cancer
know
for
if you
20
can,
years.
well,
Right.
it would require probably a whole package of bills that
Oh,
would
yeah, that-
extend the term limits on every environmental law that you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I'll certainly ask about it. It seems like a...
Thanks.
Common sense.
We just wanted to voice our...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, and I encourage you to write
I have a
letters to the
question.
editor and educate the public as
We
first
try to do
citizens.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You tried to do that. What happened?
Oh, well, I've never had a letter to the editor printed by the paper for whatever reason. They just don't print them.
They don't print it.
And so I write for...
How do you identify yourself?
How do you mean?
I mean, do you identify yourself as just a person or representing a certain group?
Oh,
or-
no, back then I was representing just myself.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question for you. Maybe you can clear this up. We were at an event not
There
long
don't seem
ago.
to be many letters to the editor anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
You know, I use
readership
Facebook
either.
a lot, to be honest. I mean, I use Facebook for a lot
Yeah.
of things
Yeah.
that I'm mad about.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
So we're at the My Cats meeting, and these people are presenting, all this stuff having to do with the tar sands and the Kalamazoo thing. Okay, and so they made this statement, and I want to know how truthful this is, because I don't have time to check all that stuff out. But they said, okay, the company that's responsible for the cleanup is in violation right now today because they didn't get it done in time the first of the year. Okay, and they said that they have not been fined a single dollar for that. And so they're in violation, big deal. It doesn't cost them anything at all.
This is the cleanup for what site?
This is the Kalamazoo, that big
Oh, the
spill.
Kalamazoo,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and so I was just wondering, is that a fact?
I don't
that they're
know.
in violation?
But I'm person that sits like 2 places away from me represents that district.
I got
know.
I got you.
Okay.
But see, that's the
Okay,
whole
I see.
thing. The whole
Yeah.
thing is that it seems like the oil industry owns our government and owns,
Yeah,
our
it's
resources,
corporations.
owns everything. And that's
All right,
why we're
so
on
the
our feet.
company, the cleanup company.
Yeah. Yep, they were supposed to have that all finished in December, and they're in violation.
For missing deadline.
Yeah. But no fines, no penalties, no recourse, no nothing.
Right. The MDEQ, the same thing with Burgess Norton, didn't find them anything. They just had to clean up and tear down the buildings and everything, and then they're
I don't
suing
think
their
they even
insurance
pay
company
taxes.
to cover their damages on that property.
Yeah.
It's
So
kinda like
anyway,
one of
that's
those
why we're
deals
here.
where we say, we don't admit we did anything wrong, but we promise that we'll never do it again.
And meanwhile, the community takes the brunt of everything.
Yeah, right. And
And they get a slap on
people,
the wrist.
the neighbors.
And continue to make profits.
Yeah, it's always somebody that you figure that they look at the people there and they say, well, look at all these homeowners, they're not big enough to fight us, so let's go ahead and slip through the cracks.
Well,
No,
I
that's
used
fair.
to, where I used to live, I counted up the people that had either prostate cancer or breast cancer. On my side of the street, it was almost every house.
Isn't that incredible?
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
But as a homeowner, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, if you expose it, then your house is
Right.
worth nothing.
Yeah.
You can't sell it.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, we had other reasons
Well,
to
see,
move.
that's what
but
they wanted
yeah.
me to do,
Yeah.
is shut up, because that's
Yeah.
what my realtor told me, that they had a big meeting, and they pretty much told the realtors, if they don't ask, don't tell. You just put the clause in the closing papers.
Oh.
So,
Real
I mean, there's a
small
lot
print.
of scamming and everything that's been going on with the whole thing.
It's a little
And I mean, and I can testify.
Yeah,
to all
I
of
know.
it.
I mean, I totally understand your frustration.
Thanks for taking
Yeah,
time
thank
with
you.
us. I know
Yeah.
that you don't really have time to spare.
And now we're looking at it from saying, okay, it happened to her house with horizontal fracking. How many other houses
Is it
and
gonna-
neighborhoods and
No,
communities?
that
is
wasn't
gonna happen?
horizontal fracking.
That
No,
wasn't,
that
it
was
wasn't, but
just
it's like, it's an
groundwater.
example.
Yeah.
That's just one little, the company probably didn't even intend to do it back then when they did all this
No,
stuff. They
it
just dumped
was
it
out of
wherever.
ignorance, yeah.
Nobody thought anything of it.
Just
Mm-hmm.
Sappy. My husband used to work at Sappy. and-
Okay, yeah.
Right, and see,
yeah.
that's another whole thing. I mean, this is
They
our
still need
community.
help.
This is where we live.
That's on the front end that we need to
Yeah, on the
make
front
sure
end, just
that
the-
the companies
right.
know what.
Just
Right.
Don't do
you
it to
are.
begin
You
with.
know,
Then we
we've
don't have to
gotta
worry about cleaning
put our
up.
foot down.
Right. Because,
You know.
refusing, or not doing it in the first place is a whole lot cheaper
Right.
than
Yeah.
cleanup.
Muskegon Lake, Lake Michigan, our groundwater, all of that is our precious resource.
Right.
And we're letting them get away with destroying it and not being accountable.
My coat's black too, but.
thanks
Okay,
again, Mark.
good, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your interest and passion. Okay.